And we are live. Hello and welcome to Forever Sports and the Monday after the weekend's game. And very interesting to sort of see what the reaction has been from a little bit of lackluster Springbok performance. I don't think we need to panic. A lot of people very, very critical of the Boks performance on Saturday. And I mean, fair enough in terms of that second half, just to call a spade, not being good enough. But I don't think we need to panic. I don't think that, we're sitting here worrying about losing the game on Saturday, for example. I don't think this suddenly means that we're just not going to compete and, we need to start pressing panic mode and going to crisis mode. So that's the main thing. We've just got to stay calm and realize that bad days at the office happen and we're going to bounce back and we're going to find a bit of form, and it's going to be up and down this year. I think we are going to have to rotate quite a bit at times. We are exploring different options. We are exploring different ways of playing, and with that comes with potentially bad performances. I also think that Italy were very good, and I think that needs to be acknowledged, but we needed to be better, and there are going to be lots of changes this week. I mean, Rassie basically said that already announced more or less about 15 players that we're going to get involved this week. And we expect them to be a bit of a rotated side. So I'm expecting somebody like Moy Libok to be involved in the team. Somebody probably like a Thomas Toy is going to be involved this week. And I think he's basically, he's in the press conference today, so that sort of guarantees he's going to be involved this weekend. I think that Edel van der Merwe might be involved. I think Andre Esterhuizen will be involved. I think Siaklisi Pierce Toy will be involved, for example. So I do think we're going to see quite a few changes. But I do also think that based on a bit of a sloppy performance, they might be a little bit more conservative with the type of changes that they actually make. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to build our own team. And we're going to basically put in the chat options as the polls. And we're then going to vote on our entire sort of 23. So we're going to have to go through this relatively quickly because it obviously does take a time. We've got 23 positions. Even if it's like a minute each, that's about 23 minutes. So we're going to have to go through this quite quickly. So I'm going to start the poll and said who starts at number 1. And your options are Ox in chair, Bowen Fenter, Jan, I should move this mic over here. I hope you can still hear me. Jan Hendrik Wessels, as well as Thomas the Toy, who's obviously a swing prop. So there we go. That's your option at number 1. Go and vote. And listen, I'm going to try and do this in less than a minute because you've got about half an hour show ideally. So we've got about a minute per selection. The team will come out tomorrow afternoon. That has been confirmed. And yeah, so we'll be live at about 3 o'clock tomorrow. I think is when it's going to come out. I think the press conference is officially scheduled for about 3:45. So 3:30 is probably when we'll see a potential team come out. So we've got 21 people watching. As soon as I get to about half of that with the votes, I'm going to throw that name and Oxen Chair off to a very quick start. Thomas Toy, Energy Vessels, basically a vote each. And as soon as we get to sort of 12, 13 votes, we'll move on to the next one and start building out our team. I think this is a pretty straightforward selection as they go. And we're up to 12 votes, so I'm going to put in I'm going to put in Oxen Chair in the number 1 jersey. Right, so we're going to end the poll there and move on to number 2. And who starts at number 2? You got 3 options. It's Malcolm Marx, it's Bongi Mbonambi, and it is Marnus van der Merwe. Right, get ready to vote because I said we can't stack around too much here, people. We've got to be efficient here, So Oxen Chair, 76% of the votes goes into the number 1 jersey. We're now going to decide our number 2 jersey, and very interested to see if we're going to go potentially Bongi Van der Merwe, Malcolm Marx to the bench. Are we going to see a Marnus van der Merwe feature? I would like to see Marnus van der Merwe feature. I think he had such a strong URC campaign that I think he really deserves an opportunity to have a go. We're at 17 votes. Once we get to about 20 votes, we will close and add the name Malcolm Marx just ahead of Bongi Mbonambi. Marnus van der Merwe getting a bit of attention, which is good to see. We're at 17 votes. Come on, people, get your votes, get that up to 20. Then we'll add the name. I do think Marnus van der Merwe obviously something a bit different to Bongi Mbonambi. Probably not as physical lineouts, for example. Bongi usually very solid, although this past weekend was a little bit sloppy. But I do think he does offer us a bit of a fetching option as well, which is a nice option to have. So 18 votes, people, going once, going twice. I want to try and get it to 20 votes. And we've already had a minute on the clock, though. So we're going to add Malcolm Marx to that starting side. Right, number 3. And Wilco Low had a very strong game over the weekend. Who starts at number 3? Wilco Low, Thomas Du Toit, Vincent Koch, or Asanati. To be fair, you've also got Neerti Bashir. I do think that at the moment, I think they're right. They rate Asanati, Tlapakanya right, they're sort of slightly in front of him. So I'm going to put those 4 options. I don't think Neerti Bashir would have won the thing. So Mr. Orland says, Italy got a hiding. Vanola's saying, let's give someone a starting lineup. I mean, we saw Mark struggling. I wonder if he was necessarily struggling. Maybe he wasn't as characteristically strong as you, but I think a lot of people weren't as characteristically good as they usually are. So at the moment, Wilco Low is 65% of the votes. We got to 21 votes. I'm going to add him to that side. Now we're starting to get nice and efficient, people. I'm enjoying it. Philip Schultz said, Marks was fine. The line was horrible after Bongi came on. Yeah, but it wasn't Bongi's best day in the lineups. And ironically, he's usually very, very reliable. Who starts at number 4? Options here are Eben, Etzebeth. We've got Salman Murat. We've got Kubus Visa. And I'm going to put in Archias Neyman as well. There are your options at 4. I really like Kubus Visa actually this weekend, either off the bench or starting. I think that he's a genuine backing option for Eben Etzebeth. And I think that if he can get a couple of games, then I think that he can put himself in the mix. Salman Murat, I wouldn't be surprised if we see being involved this weekend, but I think we'll see Kubus Visa at the very least against Georgia, but I do think we will see him. Jay says, I think Thomas needs a hit out in the block jersey. Has been the best player in the Prem by country mile. Well, he is in the press conference as we speak. Our guy down in Gqeberha has just let us know that he's in the press conference, which means he will be involved this weekend. They never put a player up on Monday who's not involved on the weekend. I think it's only happened once in the Rassie Erasmus era, so very likely that we will see him either start or in the lineup. And we've got up to our 20 votes, and Eben Etzebeth is over there. At the moment, this is actually where I was with my predicted side, which I put out about an hour ago. The next one is who starts at number 5. And your options are Franco Mostert. Come on, Franco Mostert. Lutz Diaga, Ruan Nokia, and I'm actually going to put Peter Steph the Toy. Peter the Toy, Arcus Neyman. Let's put Peter Steph the Toy. Those 4 all started at 5 last year at some point, except for your Diago started at 5 this year. So there we go. Pick up your number 5. And Donovan says, I agree. Bongi throwing was off. Hopefully that's just a once-off thing. He's so experienced, Bongi Manambi. I'll be very surprised if we had similar issues this weekend. Dion Davids will not have been happy with what he saw. And he will definitely make sure that gets fixed. So let's see if we can get to our 20 votes, up to 19 votes. Pretty straightforward at the moment. And we're going to end off over there. And everyone's going with Lut Diago with 25 votes there. So we've got Lut Diago, number 5, jersey. Now let's get to number 6, shall we? Options are Sia Khaleesi, Marco van Darden, and Quagga Smith. Kind of really only real options at number 6, to be perfectly honest. Sia Khaleesi is set to be fit, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer as to who will be getting the most votes over there. But let's see if we can get up to 20 votes very quickly. And Sia Khaleesi so far with 100% of the votes. Marco Darden now getting a couple. And we're up to our 23 votes, 83% saying Sia Khaleesi. So let's add him in over here. This is still looking exactly what I went with Franco Mostert at 5 in my predicted team. But yeah, so at the moment we've got the same tight 5 as last week. And Sia Khaleesi. Number 7, Peter Steph the Toy, Vincent Chatuka. I'm going to put in Jean-Luc Dupré, who by my understanding is back in the mix. And I'm going to add in a Quaka Smith as an option as well. In theory, you could also have something like a Bruno Kia as an option. You could also have a Franco Boston as an option. And 9HDF2 saying they reckon they need to redeem themselves, saying that's why we're looking at a very similar team to last week. I think for me, it's going to be more interesting to see what happens when we do the number 9 selections and decide who's going to go there. We've got Morne, Faf, Kobus, Grant Williams as the sort of options over there. I'm very interested to see who we're going to decide there, and our fly half options as well. So I think the pack is looking pretty straightforward. And 27 votes, most of them going with Peter Steph the Toy. So let's go with him. Right, and then number 8. Now that's number 7. Number 8, where we at? 9H reckons Peter Steph the Toy off the bench. And Josh says Ecclesia actually brings a lot in tackling, breakdown, and wide play. 100%. We definitely missed him this past weekend. I'm going to put in Jasper Wies's name. I'm going to put in Jean-Luc Dupré. Going to throw in Evan Roos. We could have put him as an option at 6. But I'd be very surprised if we saw him there in for the box. And I'm going to put in a Quaka Smith. This for me is going to be one of the more interesting ones as well. I'm hoping a bit of a more even vote here. Grant is supposedly going to be fit this weekend. They were always sort of targeting this next weekend. He said that Mapimpi should be fit for this weekend. Grant should be fit. Peter Steph the Toy should be fit. Siak Lisi should be fit. So I've got Peter equals Steph the Toy there, and I think they should quickly fix that. And at the moment, Jasper Wiese, 67% of the 28 votes. So we're going to throw him over there. So, yeah, I mean, this is all of a sudden probably our strongest pack, which is interesting. But now we've got a nice one to debate here. So, number 9, Grant Williams. Baf de Klerk. Morne van den Berg. And Corbus Reiner. Right, he's going to start here. I think Grant Williams is going to come off the bench. That's going to be my guess. I think that we'll start with either Faf or I think we're going to see Faf or Kobus probably. I think Morne van den Berg having 2 games in a row. I think he might sit this one out. Having said that, Rassie did speak about the fact that those who played well could get another chance, and I do think he did play well. So Grant Williams at the moment with 71% of the votes. Morne van den Berg, interestingly, in second place with the 31 votes over there. So we're going to call that over there and put in Grant Williams. Right, then for me, a big one, a big call to make from the Springboks is our number 10 for the weekend. I'm going to put in Monty Liebach. Going to put in Sasha Famagoma-Zulu. Going to put in Andre Pollard. And I'm going to throw in Damian Willemse just as an option. So go and get your votes in nice and quickly, people. Let's not hang around. Right, and North says, guys, again, we didn't play well, but I think we're being too harsh on ourselves and the boys. Philip says, yeah, not so good over the wall, but with marks in the field does not matter as much. He's not a good jackler, but I do think we missed him at the breakdowns. He's one of our top cleaners, gets around the park, and really helps us secure the ball and our ball retention. So I think that's where we really missed him this past weekend. Daniel says, hey, Steve, did you do a player rating? I did do a player ratings. If you're actually watching, I had to jump on very quickly because all of a sudden we had a press conference starting that I had to jump into. So it was a bit of a quick getaway for me, but we did do one. It says, I love this. I think this weekend we smashed them. Boys won 2 down games in a row. Mr. Orland says the last time we saw Italy was an 18 gap 2. Before that, we scored 96. Right, very close at the moment between Monty Liebach and Sash Famagoma-Zulu, which is very interesting itself. I'm going to let this one get to 35 votes. And then we're going to go and call it. So as soon as both pass 35 votes, we'll call it. Right now, Sasha Famagoma-Zulu has seemingly just taken it, by the way. That's incredibly close. Very interesting. 45% for Sasha Famagoma-Zulu, 42% for Monty Liebach, 8% for Andre Pollard. So definitely wanting to see a change at 10. I mean, what am I putting on lead block here? Sasha Ngomazulu. Right, now, decision time once again here in the number 11 jersey. We've got Kirtley Aronser, we've got Mapimpi, we've got, I'm going to throw in Edville van der Merwe. I'm not going to throw in Ethan Hooker. I think that they don't really see him as a wing, so I'm going to put in Cheslin. Because they don't really mind which side they either of them play. Benoro says, again, let's not let Browns Way of Rugby take us away from our DNA. I think we need to find a bit more of a balance this past weekend. I mean, we dominated them up front, but didn't really manage to capitalize on the back of it. I do think our ruck speed, I think our breakdowns weren't really good enough. So I think that's something we'll need to fix here. Also, not a very interesting vote over here. Mapimpi and Edward van der Merwe tied at that 21%, but Kirtley Aronser very much getting the nod at the moment. I'm very interested to see what this is going to look like when we do this for Georgia. And obviously, we want to try and rotate it a little bit. Right, number 12 options. Damien De Elendi. I'm going to put in Andre Esterhuizen. I'm going to throw in a Ethan Hooker, as well as a Damien Willemse as an option. I'm going to make Moody an option at 14. Don't often see him playing in the 11 jersey, so that is why. And I'm also going to put Moody as an option at 13. Right, number 12. I've got Damien Delende, Andre Esterhuizen, Ethan Hooker, and Damien Willemse as your options at the moment. Once again, try and see if we can get past that 30 mark. 9HD says Mapimpi was so good for the Sharks. He's definitely not going into the later stages of his career quietly, is Maxwell Mapimpi. He's fighting hard to stay in the Springbok squad, fighting hard to keep in the mix. And good to see. Good to see. So we've got 32 votes here. I want to see if we can get that 35 votes. Andre Esterhuizen at the moment, just pipping Damien Delende. Bit of potential rotation there. We can pass that 37 votes, so we have got Andre Esterhuizen. Now we need to go to number 13. And options are Jesse Creel, Ethan Hooker, Kanan Moody. That's more or less it, to be honest. No, not that. Lukanya is actually still officially injured, not part of the squad. So with all of the options here, Ethan Hooker got to an early lead here. No Henk van Wyk or anything, no Lukanya. So very interesting that Ethan Hooker is got quite a big lead there. Jesse Creel now starting to. Oh, there we go. More votes came in for Jesse Creel. I always like doing this. It becomes a bit like horse racing when you start seeing everything sort of changing. So I want to try and get to that 35 votes. Kind of that's the mark, and this is going to go either way. Very much the closest we've had with fly half and outside center. Ethan Hooker is currently leading with 47% of the votes. What are we thinking here, people? 30 votes. Let's see if we can get to that 35. Going once, going twice. Sold Ethan Hooker at 13. My typing's been nowhere today. Right, and Kanan Moody getting 20% of those votes. Right, number 14. Your options: Edville van der Merwe, Kanan Moody, Cheslin, Colby. I'm actually going to throw an update fast as an option as well. He does cover. Come on. He actually made his debut at 14 up against Georgia during that British and Irish Lions sort of period. James says the Durban July winner in the chat with all these movements. Well, that's a cool event I want to go to one day. It's Durban July. Right, at the moment, Shiz and Colby up front, but Kanan Moody and Edward van der Merwe neck and neck for second place. 27 votes. See if we can get up to that 35 mark once again. Josh says that Esterhuizen and Moody is an underrated duo. Not actually a firm believer of the Church of Rassie, going, Rassie is my God. Chesn Colby so far 53% of. It's interesting how we've gone with brand new centre pairing, but everything else has been pretty much, who's our strongest option at the moment. So we're going to end up probably with our two leading wings. So we're going to put in Chesn Colby now. And fullback now, big call to make at number 15, which is Damian Willemse. Apelele Rassie or Ville Leroux. Does Ville Leroux start his 100th game? Or he will. When he does play, he'll start his 100th game. The question is it going to be his 100th this weekend? Or are we going to see it against Georgia and Imombela? Big calls to make. So Apelele Rassie at the moment leading the charge with 62%. And Mo has jumped in saying a guy in the second season as greatest of all time is a leap. Well, there we go. Up to 31 votes, Rassie does seem to be leading the votes at the moment. I personally think we'll probably see either Ville or Damian Willemse. I think we'll see Apelele Rassie up against Georgia. But 48% of the votes so far. I think that should be enough. So we're going to put an Apelele Rassie into this back line. Right, now we need to go to our number 16, our reserve hooker. And I'm going to put in Marnus van der Merwe, Bongi Imbonambi, and I'm actually going to throw in a Jan Hendrik Wessels in theory, who could be the reserve hooker. Philip says, I think Billy will get his 100th against Oz in Cape Town, where he's from. Interesting concept. James Moriarty says, most changes should come from bench. They were disappointing. Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, it was obviously the second half was the disappointing one. So that the bench just didn't really work as we would have liked to, saying. But you've got 35 votes, and everybody's going with Marnus van der Merwe, who I would actually really like to see this weekend. Don't worry, I will change the color of the font. Bear with me here, people. There we go. Should be able to read it a bit better now. And let's go to number 17. So your reserve loose head. I'm going to put in Jan Hendrik Wessels, Bowen Fenter, or a Thomas du Toit. Those are your three other options that can cover number one at the moment. And 80 people watching, by the way. Just the 10 likes so far. Please do smash a like on the video. Let's try and get as many people into as possible, so this can be a true fan picked side at the moment. Very interesting to see kind of what we've got at the moment, and very keen to see what this bench is going to look like. We obviously need to decide on a 6-2 split. We'll do that after the front row, so that we can then decide on the rest of the forwards. So we'll pick our front row, and then we'll go through our decide what the 6-2 split's going to be. Well, the 6-2, 8-1, 8-1, 7-1, 5-3, and once we do that, then we'll decide. Right. So 53% of the votes goes Thomas du Toit in at reserve loose head. Somebody the other day, who was it? I had a bit of a chuckle because somebody in the comments said Thomas du Toit is a loose head, not a tight head. Why do you keep putting him a tight head? And the reason for that is because he's played a tight head for the last about 6 or 7 years of his career. Almost exclusively as well. Can cover loose head, has played there for the Boks before, but is very much an out-and-out tight head these days, and has been the best player in the Premiership, well, best front row in the Premiership for the last 2 seasons at tight head. So we do need to now decide our reserve tight head. And our options are Asanate in Klabakanye, Vincent Koch, Neertling for Sheer, and there we go. Right, so who are we backing as our reserve tight head? And then we need to decide on what our bench split is going to look like. Adrian asking, where does Moody fit in? I think Moody at the moment, for me, is still an out-and-out 14. Could probably play on the wing if he needed to. I'd be nervous at this stage to play him at outside centre. I think he's had a bit of a tough season at the Bulls. Took him a while to get going. Started to look a lot better towards the latter stages. But when he was playing at 13 for the Bulls, struggled a little bit. I know he's had some good games there for the Box, including playing against New Zealand. But I think that long term, I still look at him as more of a wing than in a centre. We've got almost up to 35 marks, and Asinata and Klabakanya is going to win that vote. So let's sort that out. Right, we now need to decide on our split. Right, bench split. Your options are 5-3, 6-2, which I think will probably be the winner, 7-1, and just for shits and giggles, I'm going to put an 8-0. I don't think it'll be one, but let's put it in as an option. Double says Village should get 100 ASAP. Thanks for service and move in. Rassie versus Willem, so 15 should be playing rugby championship. Yeah, and I think you also got Owen Quine Horn. Aegis, I don't think they would risk Sia with an Achilles. It's a neck injury at this rate. So it should be all right. Ultimate Shooter's asking for Asinate. And KG says, no more fight from Vili, please. Devin Henry Paulson says, Andre's in the starting team, so 6-2 makes sense. Ultimate Shooter reckons 5-3 split. We've got 52% for the 5-3 split, and that is going to be our winner. Right, so we're going to have the 6-2 split is the winner, which means who should be the number 19. So our reserve, well, you got to then decide lose forward or lock as the next option. But anyway, going to go Arches Neyman, going to go Franco Mostert, going to go Ruan Nokia. I suppose you're going to have to kind of go Salman Murat. We've got to try and throw in Kurz Visa at some stage as well, though. I'll put him in the next sort of poll. What we'll do lock or loose forward for our other bench option, and then we'll decide on who those will be between. So those are the options there for number 19. Arches Neyman very much dominating this at the moment with a second place between Nokia and Franco Mostert. 29 votes to get up to that magic 35, and then we'll close that up. Already almost at 12:30. Time flies when you're having fun. Right, 33, and I don't see anybody usurping him, so we're going to go into Arches Neyman for number 19. Right, then big call here. Should number 20 rather, should number 20 be a lock or loose forward? Lock, loose forward. Very simple. Two options there. And then we'll decide who's going to be those options themselves, because we can either go with, Salman Murat, Kurz Visa, Franco Mostert, and Ruan Nokia as your lock options, or you go more sort of Vince Tuka, Kwagga Smith, Jean-Luc Dupré, Evan Roos, who else are these four options I'm forgetting about? Marco van Staden. So at the moment we've got 50. Well, this is very close actually, so we're gonna have to wait until now loose forward is starting to edge ahead here. 31 votes, 34 votes. So we're gonna go with a loose forward as our two options. Right, so we're gonna have two loose forwards in our bomb squad at this stage. So number 20 option, I'm gonna put in Kwagga Smith. We're going to put in Jean-Luc Dupré. Going to throw in a Vincent Chatuka. And I'm going to throw in a Marco van Staden. And then we'll do the... Right, come on, let's get to that 35 votes nice and quickly here, people. So far, very close between Kwagga Smith and Jean-Luc Dupré. Kwagga Smith now takes a bit of a lead. Kwagga Smith 42%, Kwagga Smith 42%, 44%, Jean-Luc Dupré 25%, 25%, 43%, Kwagga Smith 30 votes to Kwagga. Him again to 35. He's got to become an auctioneer. Anybody needs an auctioneer, you DM me. I'll make it a fair rate. And 33 votes so far. 35, and Kwagga Smith becomes our number 20. And now we've got to decide number 21. And your options are going to be Jean-Luc Dupré, Evan Roos, I think probably Vincent Tuka. I think that you would if you were going to put Marcus Starden, you would have put him in the number 20 jersey. So probably between those three, really. So let's throw those names out and see who else we're backing on at the bench. Vincent Tuka can also cover lock. So if he were to be on the side, he would be in the number 20 jersey. Clark Smith would be in the number 21. That's kind of where I'd actually be going. I'd be very tempted to name him in the bottom squad. Right, so where we at? 37 votes so far. Vincent Tuka's going to go in there, so I'm actually going to put Vincent Tuka in the number 9, in the number 20 jersey there. Vincent Tuka. Actually mentioned him over the weekend. One of our first ever guests on the channel, Vincent Tuka. And most says Tuka looked winded after 15 minutes, but did I see him play the 80? He did play the 80. James Moriarty said he's replaced Fimura looking like an impossible task just for that calm stability at the base. Yeah, look, he's a special player, very unique player was Dwayne Vermeulen. Always a tough one to try and replace. Right, number 22. We've got Faf de Klerk as an option. We've got Kobus Reinach as an option. And we've got Morne van den Berg as an option. And then we kind of actually... We don't have that many. Well, I suppose we got Sasha at 10, so we could go with like a Billy LaRue at 23. So the number 23 option is going to have to be interesting, actually. Yeah, we're going to have to try and think about how it'll all sort of fit together. Philip said Vincent actually works out nicely since he covers lock as well. But Nola said Italy showed us they don't mind getting physical. Why don't we get in hard at the scrums and have Pollard finish the game with 3 pointers? I don't think we'll need 3 pointers, to be honest. I think that we'll run in a few tries, and I don't think we'll need to stress too much about that. 40 votes. Kubas Ranas going into the mix over there. What's very interesting about that vote is that once it shows, where's my vote gone? Kajul says Morne played well, given more time to show what he can do. Okay, well, I'm a bit confused to where our poll went. But anyway, number 22, number 23. Now, this is going to be interesting because at the moment, we've got Sasha, who can cover fullback if we need to. We probably need, I think Damien Willemse has to be in there, obviously. Villy LaRue is often within this option, shout. I'm going to throw in a Mon Liebach in there because he can cover 10. Sasha can go to full back, for example. And I think we probably have to throw in a... I don't think we'll see an Edwin van der Merwe. We don't often see a center on the bench. If it is, it's usually Andre Esterhuizen. So I'm probably going to throw in a Andre Pollard. I think it's probably either, a change at flower half or a change at fullback is probably like my guts feel. I think that we probably need center cover as well. And saying that, in which case I'm going to go with Damien De Lendi. Given the fact that you guys are in Liebach twice, I'm going to go with Liebach ahead of Villy LaRue. I mean, ahead of Pollard on the options there. I don't really know who to put in our options here. Well, let's see. Let's change this up a little bit. Number 23 position to cover. Fullback, center, flower half. Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, in terms of wings, Ethan can cover wing. I believe Fast can go into the wing. So let's sort of talk about who we need out of those things. Do we want a backup fullback, a backup center, backup flower half? So basically, is it Villy LaRue and sort of Damien Willemse as your options? Is it more Andre Pollard, Mon Liebach as your options? Or are we looking more at Damien De Lendi, Jesse Creel potentially as your options? At the moment, everybody's sort of backing a second flower half. on the bench. So that's as soon as we get to 35 votes, that looks like that's going to be the case, in which case we're going to then put on Monty Bok, Andre Pollard, and Damian Willemse. Look, Damian Willemse makes the most sense probably here. Because obviously he covers 10, 12, 15. So he's probably the most versatile of them all. But Pollard can cover center. And if Molly comes on, you've then got Sasha who can shift to center, can shift to fullback as well. So he's an option there. So let's now pick over here. So CS says Polly is better suited on the bench and he can cover 12. Ludovic says Damien can play 10 if needed. 100 Pollard 23, and then the dash in from Dodge Farm. Get him involved. Get him involved. KJ said if we're in trouble, Marnie can change the entire gameplay. Ludovic says Damien Villains can play all three. Captain will be Sia Khaleesi, so we'll add his photo. In the meantime, actually, shall we do that? Where is Sia in this? There we go. Let's throw him into this graphic. There we go. And make him captain. And at the moment, Molly Bok is just edging out Damien Willemse on the bench. Crazy to think we're in 2025 and people aren't including a Damien Willemse in the 23. Right, so there we go. That is your 23. I think it's not a bad one, actually. I think that there are changes. It's a very new look bench. I mean, the only people that were on this bench last week was Archer Snyman and Kwaka Smith. So it's a brand new bench. From a starting lineup point of view, we've brought in Sia Khaleesi, PSF the toy. That's the only change we made there. It is a very new look back line. We've kept our wings, but everybody else has changed. So it's a very different team that we've gone with over there. Philip says Jesse Creel is an interesting one since he covers center wing and fullback. I don't think we'd see Jesse Creel really play fullback. We'd probably see Chesson Colby move to fullback before he would move fullback. But there we go. That is your fan pick team. What are we thinking, people? What are we thinking? I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's exactly what we're going to see, but I don't think it's terrible. I don't think we'll see a brand new center combination. Well, maybe we might see Andreas Taylor next to Ethan Hooker. I'd be surprised. Sharpshooter says, the only criticism with the 23 is that we could probably afford to play Edville in place of Colby for this game. I agree. And Bernard says, I think Billy played a great 10 at the Bulls this season. I don't think we'll see him starting at the 10, at least for the Box. We could see him come on and deputize there. Right, we're going to close up there, people. The show's usually about half an hour, so we've gone a little bit over to try and incorporate all the different votes and the likes of that. So thank you very much for joining me, and we will be live tomorrow for the official team, which will be announced late afternoon. So we'll wait and see as soon as we've got confirmation of those times. And